It's Thursday, August 3. In the headlines, JCF overtime claims payment. Port Royal pipeline replacement project is underway. In business news, former CEO of Dollar Financial denies being forced to quit. Regionally, Belize opposition files motion of no confidence in Prime Minister. And internationally, more information on former President Donald Trump's indictment. In sports, Sunshine Girls beat New Zealand 59-48. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Some rank and file officers of the Jamaica Constabulary Force will receive their overtime claims owed to them. There has been significant concern over the lack of overtime payment for rank and file members. However, the JCF says majority of the claims will be serviced this month. According to the JCF, more than 8,000 members have benefited from overtime payments since April 1 implementation of its workforce management solution, which streamlines overtime work management. It says $824 million has been disbursed. The JCF says the remaining claims will be paid once the documentation verification for each claim has been completed. Ground has broken for Phase 3 of the Port Royal pipeline replacement project. The government, through the National Water Commission, NWC, will be undertaking the replacement of the aged cast iron transmission main located between the Norman Manley International Airport roundabout and the NWC pump station at the eastern entrance of Port Royal. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was on hand for the event. Prime Minister Andrew Holness said investing heavily in infrastructure is a priority for the government.
If we do not build infrastructure, we won't be able to properly provide the housing, the industrial and commercial development that we all want. So I make it a priority of the government to invest heavily in infrastructure.
The project will be completed within the next 6 months at a cost of $433 million. Mr. Holness says the funds are not being procured through a loan.
We are able today to finance infrastructure development, not from borrowing, not from deferred expenditure, but from our budget. We are able to finance your needs, the water needs, not by going to IMF or World Bank or bilateral or other banks. We are able to finance our projects from our budget. That's a massive change.
The National Water Commission will replace the existing water main with approximately 8.6 kilometers of a 12-inch high-density polyethylene pipeline. The Prime Minister says in the next fiscal year, more development will take place in Port Royal, including revetment work along the coastline.
To protect the land from a catastrophic weather event, should one occur. And then we will be able to build more social housing. The other complaint of the people of Port Royal about the condition of their housing. And then the following year, we can seek to improve roads and put in drains. And then the following year, we can look to improve the school.
He says residents can look towards a positive future for themselves and their town.
We have invested already in a new cruise pier and putting in facilities for cruise shipping. This community is set for prosperity.
Motorists will soon have access to 2 of the 4 lanes on the Harbour View to Toyalas corridor. Stephen Shaw, Communication and Customer Services Manager at the National Works Agency, NWA, says this will alleviate some issues that motorists have highlighted. The corridor forms part of work being done under the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. Mr. Shaw told the press on Wednesday, quote, The focus really is on having at least 2 of the 4 lanes available for the motoring public from Harbour View all the way to toyalas. So the challenges that persons would have been speaking to and experiencing for some time, we want to ensure that those challenges are behind us come the end of this month. End quote. He says on the land side, some light poles are in the way, and so workers cannot do much on the land side until those poles are relocated. He informed that the Jamaica Public Service has given a commitment to having those poles relocated on August 28. Time now for a hurricane tip. And now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Motorists will see an increase at the pumps in the price of gasoline effective Thursday, August 3, according to the latest ex-refinery costs from PetroJam. With both grades of gasoline up by $4.50, 87 octane will sell for $179.95 per liter, while 90 octane gasoline will sell for $184.46 per liter. Continuing with the $4.50 increase, automotive diesel fuel will sell for $171.03 per liter, ultra-low sulfur will sell for $179.14 per liter, and kerosene will sell for $178.22 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will sell for $64.05 per liter, up by $2.48, and butane liquid petroleum will sell for $71.88 per liter after an increase of $2.48. Remember that marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markups to these prices. Founder and former CEO of Dollar Financial, Kadeem Mears, has sought to set the record straight regarding his sudden departure from the microfinancing company. In a recently released statement, Mears emphasized that the decision to step down from his role as CEO was entirely his own, and that he will now focus on his private equity firm, Deputy Capital Management, a consideration he had made for some time. On Friday, it was announced that Mr. Mears had resigned, and the company's Deputy CEO, Kenwar Kerr, had been appointed interim CEO. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, August 2, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.58. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $116.91. The pound sterling traded for $198.15, and the euro sold for $170.85. In NJC Trading, the JSE index advanced by over 2,654 points. The junior market index declined by over 45 points. The combined market index advanced by over 2,060 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 809 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 109 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 54 declined, and 12 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, Barbados Investments Limited, and CAC 2000 Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Trading firm were Blue Power Group Limited, Carreras Limited, and Derrimont Trading Company Limited. The overall volume leaders were Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with over 6 million units, Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares with over 2 million units, and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted a volume of 244 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, 0 securities traded. In regional business, in Trinidad and Tobago, the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited NETCO is hosting its second annual NETCO Entrepreneurship Week, as well as a free 3-day hybrid entrepreneurship conference and village. More from Mahalia Joseph Wharton.
The theme of the conference is Unlocking the Innovative Mindset and is part of the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited's 21st anniversary celebrations. Chief Executive Officer Calvin Maurice said the theme embodies the essence of entrepreneurship. He said being innovative and agile is what sets successful entrepreneurs apart, as it will allow them to navigate uncharted waters, embrace new technology, and find solutions to the most pressing challenges.
In today's rapidly changing world, where challenges and opportunities coexist, cultivating an innovative mindset is not merely an option. It's imperative. It is this very mindset that has the potential to propel your ideas, businesses, and create an unprecedented height. The importance of this theme cannot be overstated.
Entrepreneurs like the owner of Sierra's Mellow Alco, Sierra Calendar, said, when trying to start a business, one major factor is passion.
When you have a passion for trying new things, when you're a bit versatile, when you realize that you have a gift and you want to explore and you want to expound on certain things, you have to use your creative juices. So everything here is by trial and error.
Ms. Calendar produces cocktails and cremes with a lower alcohol content for those who can't consume too much alcohol. For those looking for something with more strength, owner of Sola's blend Listra Solar Mead is at the Village and Expo with her homemade wines.
I have a variety of homemade wines, all natural wines, and some of the wines are pineapple, 5 fingers, ginger, beetroot, carrot, pumpkin, and I call this king. And we have a natural process where we ferment with the yeast, the fruit, and the sugar for 21 days.
Handcrafted jewelry, natural soaps and body oils, bread and other local food items can be found at the Entrepreneurship Village and Expo, which will be open until Friday. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TDT News.
In international business, Wall Street finished lower with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq down for a second straight day as investors took profits on 5 months of gains a day after rating agency Fitch cut the U.S. government's credit rating.
The Dow dropped about 1%, the S&P 500 shed roughly 1.4%, and the Nasdaq plunged nearly 2.2%. Fitch downgraded the United States to AA+ from AAA late on Tuesday, citing expected fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years, as well as growing government debt. Eric Ditton, founder and managing director of the Wealth Alliance, says he's not surprised.
We really haven't had a cohesive plan as a country to rein in our debt at all. It's been exploding on the upside, whether it was in the Trump administration or Biden. We've got that issue. So I think when Fitch talks about fiscal concerns, I don't think anyone can really argue with that. that being said, I think it's really a non-event in the markets. And I think the sell-off, this is a continuation of the sell-off that's long overdue. We've had a tremendous rally up to this point.
July was the 5th straight month of gains for the S&P and the tech-heavy NASDAQ, driven by better-than-expected earnings and hopes of a soft landing for the U.S. economy. On the earnings front, CVS Health Corp gained 3.3% after beating Wall Street estimates for quarterly profit, and Emerson climbed 3.8% after the industrial software firm raised its annual profit outlook. Meanwhile, Advanced Micro Devices slipped 7% over concerns its targets for an artificial intelligence ramp-up may be too ambitious. The worries overshadowed the chip designer forecasting an upbeat finish to the year.
In market data for oil, oil steadied after dropping sharply from more than 3-month highs in the previous session as concerns around supply tightness offset the impact on sentiment of a U.S. government credit downgrade. Brent crude futures crept up 1 cent to $83.21 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude edged 6 cents higher to $79.59. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, in Belize, opposition leader Shine Barrow has filed a motion of no confidence in Prime Minister John Bresenio. Barrow said the move by the opposition to file the motion is due to controversy surrounding the Portico Definitive Agreement. Here's more from Barrow himself.
I submitted today to the clerk of the House of Representatives, according to the standing orders, a private member's motion, in which we will take a vote of no confidence on the Prime Minister of Belize and his government. Whether it is outlining the malfeasance, the nonfeasance of the Prime Minister in regards to the Portico Definitive Agreement, as has been listed out there, his cousin being the attorney for Portico Enterprises Limited, his Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, and his Minister of Immigration have a law firm called Cowie and Courtney, or Courtney and Cowie, and they represent the CEO of Portico in his personal interests. And all of the allegations of nepotism, cronyism, self-enrichment that have engulfed the Bresenio administration in relations to Portico, the Special Senate Select Committee to investigate the genesis of the Portico Agreement all the way to the confidential Cabinet Memorandum 84 being submitted by the Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Finance. And as he has said, I quote, "The buck stops with him. You can't blame Christopher Cowie." And that is where we started with that saga. And the evidence unfolded that the Prime Minister lied. He said that when he was asked about legal advice, he and the minister said they were seeking legal advice. But as we now know, they had already gotten, at least the Prime Minister had gotten legal advice from Ben Jarotowicz, King's Counsel.
More help is on the way for Haiti as 150 Bahamians will head to the impoverished island nation as it continues to battle humanitarian crisis. More in this report.
The Bahamas joins Kenya following its pledge of support earlier this week. For some time, Haiti has struggled with political and social instability, resulting in widespread poverty and violence. In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the Bahamas looks forward to working with Kenya and other partners in Haiti to assist in efforts to bring peace and stability. Kenya has said that it will also provide 1,000 police officers to lead the multinational force in the country.
In news from Barbados, this World Breastfeeding Week, there's a call for business places to put things in place to make it easier for breastfeeding employees. It's coming from registered nurse and midwife Tanisha Osborne.
I wanted to encourage all workplaces, especially workplaces that have majority or women at all, to have a place that the mothers can pump, and that's a clean environment, one that is well ventilated, has a refrigerator to store the milk, an electric outlet so that if they're using an electric pump, and so that they can feel comfortable and relaxed, because all those things can hinder the pumping.
So because persons can't see too how much breast milk is coming out, they think, okay, they can't see that the baby is getting 2 ounces or 3 ounces, so they're not really sure. But you have some key signs that we can look out for to tell us if the baby is getting enough. For one, the baby would pass urine. So every 4 hours, once you're seeing a wet nappy, you know that the baby is getting enough. If your baby sucks and the baby drops off to sleep, that means that the baby was getting enough at that point in time. So there are key things to look out for to identify that your baby is getting enough, and the number one thing not to do is to stop breastfeeding.
World Breastfeeding Week is being observed from August 1 to 7 under the theme Enabling Breastfeeding, Making a Difference for Working Parents. In international news, former U.S. President Donald Trump has been criminally charged for trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. The former president has been ordered to make an initial appearance in federal court in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. It marks the third time this year that Trump, who is the early front-runner for the 2024 Republican presidential primary, has been charged in a criminal case. Al Jazeera's Mike Hanna reports.
The media is gathered, security around the courthouse is being ramped up, and the former president is due to be indicted on the most serious charges yet brought against him. One of his lawyers says the defense rejects the trial date envisioned by the prosecution.
To take President Trump to trial in 90 days, of course, is absurd. The question is, why do they want to do that? If you want to seek justice, then you need to offer President Trump an opportunity to get a hold of all the evidence.
The federal judge who was chosen at random to hear the case is Jamaican-born Tanya Chutkan. She was appointed by Obama in 2014. She's presided over dozens of prosecutions relating to the attack on the Capitol on January the 6th, 2021, which she has described in one judgment as a violent attempt to overthrow the government, and it nearly succeeded. The judge also presided over an action brought by Donald Trump in November 2021 to prevent the White House from handing over documents to a House Select Committee. She rejected the application, saying on that occasion, the president is not a king and the plaintiff is not the president. In the conspiracy charges, the prosecution outlines the extent to which Donald Trump attempted to persuade his then vice president to refuse to certify the vote. Just one of what the indictment says is a series of criminal acts. And in relation to Trump's actions leading up to and on January the 6th, Mike Pence issued his strongest criticism yet.
And then on that day, President Trump asked me to put him over the Constitution. But I chose the Constitution, and I always will. And I really do believe that anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be President of the United States. And anyone who asks someone else to put themselves over the Constitution should never be President of the United States again.
The former president's response was scathing. In a lengthy message on his social media, Donald Trump says of Pence, he didn't fight against election fraud, which we will now be easily able to prove based on the most recent fake indictment and information which will have to be made available to us finally. A really big deal. The VP had power that Mike didn't understand.
In sports, we're on the court with netball, where Jamaica's Sunshine Girls produced a comfortable 59-48 victory over defending champions New Zealand in their top-of-the-table Pool G match at the Netball World Cup in Cape Town, South Africa on Thursday. Jamaica's captain Janelle Fowler scored a perfect 49 goals from 49 attempts. The Sunshine Girls are ranked 4th in the world, 2 places behind New Zealand in the world rankings. On the tracks, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price and Olympic sprint hurdles champion Hans Parchment will headline Jamaica's team for the 19th World Athletics Championships in Hungary later this month. The Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association announced a 65-member team on Wednesday. 5-time world 100 meters champion Fraser-Price will defend the 100-meter title. The women's team also includes defending 200 meters champion Sharika Jackson, Megan Tapper, Candice McLeod, Shanika Ricketts, Rochelle Clayton, and others. The men's team includes national champion Rohan Watson, Raheem Ford, Travis Michael, Frederick Dakers, and Oblique Seville. With the T20 scheduled to start on Thursday, West Indies one-day international captain Shai Hope faced the media following the series of defeat to India in the longer format. More from Wayne Cunningham.
Aiming to grab a rare one-day international series win over India, it all went wrong for the West Indies with a 200-run defeat. Shai Hope reflected on the missed opportunity.
We understood what was at stake. History, we could even write our own history today. But again, we need to look at the processes a bit more, understand what's required in crucial situations of the game, so we can come out on top next time. I wouldn't like to pinpoint one particular area of the game, whether it's in the field or with the back. But we need to understand, we need to put more collective performances together. And if we just look at one thing in particular every single time, then we're just pointing fingers. We really need to all take responsibility.
The captain was asked, what's next for the West Indies ODI team?
Just to understand and reflect. I think we need to find out, or find true reflection. Understand where we're at, understand where we need to go, and try to find those small little steps to get there. It can't happen overnight, and we establish that, we understand that, but you got to find a way to move it a little bit quicker than we are currently.
Up next, 5 T20 internationals, with the first at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Tarouba, starting at 10:30 on Thursday. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks so much for watching.